Welcome to Faith on the Field Show. I'm Rob Maaddi. I'm going solo this week without Remy. She's going to be back with me co-hosting the show, and she's got a lot of new things happening within Faith on the Field. So really excited to let you know as that transpires. If you're watching us for the first time on Faith Points TV, welcome. If you're listening to us on any of our radio affiliates or the podcast, thank you. We always appreciate you. We've got a very special episode. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I feel that mental health is something that we need to prioritize, not just for a calendar month, but every day of the year and throughout. But we've got Solomon Thomas, a defensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to join us, and he's going to share his journey along the way, what's happened in his life, his battles with mental health, and those he's lost a sister to suicide, and he's lost a teammate last year when he was with the Dallas Cowboys to suicide. So you can hear from Solomon coming up, but I want to take this opportunity because you've heard it's a passion of mine, it's a mission of mine, it's a mission of Faith on the Field, is to prioritize mental wellness, especially for young student athletes, but really for everyone out there, for fellow men like me who sometimes maybe want to be too tough or tough things out or man up or under all of those old type of mentalities where we think that we can't be vulnerable and we can't be emotional, and this is for you too, but it's for this episode, and this message is for everyone, and we hope you kind of sit back, listen in, and apply it the best way possible, because maybe it doesn't apply to your life, but someone you know, someone who's close to you, someone who, a friend who may be in need. All of us out there, we may go through some struggles. We may go through some ups and downs. We go through some emotional difficulties at times, and sometimes they're a little bit stronger or worse than other times. And I think it's important that everybody knows that, one, you're not alone. You're not the only person going through difficult things or difficult moments. And sometimes it can happen from our surroundings, our environment. It could be financial issues, financial strain. It could be loss of a job. It could be relationship. It could be status like that. Maybe you go through a divorce, or maybe the loss of a loved one. Whatever it may be, when we go through these tough times, it's just so important that you realize there's somebody out there that you can talk to. And I always emphasize to folks that there's help that is available, and there are so many resources. I share this with players all the time. The NFL and the various leagues have resources available. Their players associations have resources available. But beyond that, for those of you who may not have that in your work environment, there are absolutely, there's hotlines, there's numbers that you can call. And I like to let people know that the first thing that I've ever done to prioritize my mental health was turn to the Lord and pray and ask Him for help and ask Him for His intercession on my behalf, and to give me strength and to give me courage and whatever I need. And I think there's a Bible verse that really has applied to in my life that I like to share with everyone, and it's Joshua 1:9, and I'm going to read it off my wall because it's right there, and I'm looking at it. I don't think you can see because there's a different one behind me, but it says, "Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." It's so important to understand that from that standpoint, in that if at times we may feel like we're alone, we're not. We've got God with us in what it takes. When I went through maybe my most recent bigger struggle, and I've talked about this in the past, and it was a few years back when I lost my dad, and I tried to take care of everyone around me, and I never prayed for God's help, and I never asked for His help until it was a little bit further down the line. I was really struggling. So it's important to understand that, to know that God is there. He wants us to turn to reach out to Him, to turn to Him, to ask for His help. He's willing, He's able, He can jump in there and assist you and help you in any way possible. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you're not going to turn to some resources, and so many out there for you, please check them out. The resources are always out there, phone numbers, hotlines, whatever it may be, professionals who can help you. Try prayer also. Please think about that. Make sure you take inventory of your life and prioritize what's important to you and prioritize your mental health. We're going to keep this short because we're going to go into this conversation with Solomon, and it's a lengthy conversation. It's such an important and meaningful conversation. So stay tuned. You're going to hear from Solomon Thomas coming up. You're watching and you're listening to Faith on the Field Show. Welcome back to Faith on the Field Show. I'm Rob Maaddi. If you're watching us, listening to us for the first time, make sure you check out any of our episodes on faithonthefieldshow.com. The podcast is available. You can listen to us anytime at your convenience. If you would like to be a part of it, if you'd like to help our nonprofit side, our ministry grow, check us out. Reach out to us at team@faithonthefieldshow.com. Our next guest, Solomon Thomas, was a first round pick by the San Francisco 49ers. He's played for the Jets, also the Dallas Cowboys. He's now with the Tennessee Titans. And as I said earlier in the show, he's got an incredible story to share with us and a journey about mental health and what he's gone through specifically himself and in his family and in his life. So check that out. That's coming up. But before we get to it, Solomon has started the Defensive Line Foundation, and they've got their 5-year anniversary coming up. And they've got an event for those of you watching us or listening to us in the Dallas area. You can go to the defensiveline.org because this is Friday, June 5th. It's at 6:30, and it's going to be an incredible evening of conversation around mental health, suicide prevention, and you've got opportunities to just go listen to some Solomon, of course, and some athletes talk about it, talk openly. So check it out, the defensiveline.org. Here is my conversation with Solomon Thomas. Solomon, appreciate your time, man. Always enjoy seeing you, hearing you, wherever you are, wherever you're speaking, and whoever you're talking to. And a time of transition for you this off season, right? As you join the Tennessee Titans, what's it been like for you to go from you've been in San Fran as the number one pick, third pick overall in the draft. You go to New York, Dallas, now in Tennessee. What's that like?
Oh, it's been an amazing transition, to be honest. I can't complain about anything. It was pretty seamless going to a coaching staff that I played for before. Coach Sala, I've been with him honestly most of my career. 3 years with the Jets, 4 years with the Niners. Now at a third stint with Tennessee, and excited to be back with him. His passion, the way he organizes his team, the mentality that he brings to us about callousing. Always doing extra, always having that mentality of being the most feared, the best. And then Coach Whitecotton as well, another guy, another coach who I've been with for about 6, 7 years of my career. He's become one of my favorite coaches that I've ever played for. The way he's able to teach his defensive line, the way that he has guys care for him is so special. And I truly believe that he's one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. And I'm surprised he's not a defensive coordinator right now. But it's been a blessing to be here with some old friends from the Jets, some old friends from the Cowboys, and some from the Niners. So it's been a beautiful transition. I want to come here to Nashville, win some games, and make this town football town again.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit. It's early on, right? And you guys just get a little bit of seeing each other, OTAs and all of that stuff. But this is an organization that's been down for a little bit, but now you've got a new coach in there, new system, everything is fresh, opportunity to grow together. What are you seeing that can get fans excited about that?
Yeah, I see a lot of talent on the roster. Starting with our quarterback Cam Ward, he's a baller. He can play football, and I love what I love about him is that his confidence, his swagger. He loves to talk mess all the time, and that's always just honestly so much fun. So I love being around him, and then on the defensive side of the ball, Salah's brought some great guys: John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson. We have probably the best defensive player in the game right now, Jeffrey Simmons. So, being around this talent has been awesome. And in the draft, we did great. With the receiver from Ohio State, Kels has been doing great. And so I'm just excited for this roster to come together and play together. We're young, but we're also hungry and we're going to be disciplined. So that's going to what sets us apart because not a lot of young teams are always disciplined, but that's one thing that Solid and the staff is going to make sure that we are is disciplined, hungry, and we're going to fire runs the ball.
Solomon, I want to transition to what's a very important topic and one that I feel like, listen, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but it's a topic that to me is near and dear to my heart and it should be talked about and amplified 12 months a
Mhm.
year because it's so important. And I've watched you speak about it. I know some of the things that you have dealt with and some of the things that you have gone through. And for me, just getting it out there to especially to everybody, right? But I'm a man, you're a man, and our community, our community
Mhm.
of leaders, our community of men. I grew up in that era of that mentality of suck it up.
Yep.
man up, right? And to me, that meant like, all right, anything going on, I internalize. I don't
Hmm.
speak about. I'm going to be tough. And to be an athlete at the same time, you want to tough things out, right?
Yep.
And sometimes we feel like we do that and we transition that mentally into what's going on internally. And that can be so dangerous and that can
Yep.
be such an issue because we don't share. We're not vulnerable. We're not speaking to somebody. Just share with me about your experience because I know it's deeply personal for you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your words and your vulnerability and you telling the truth about how important this is because it is so important. This conversation is needed to be had. But yeah, I never truly expected to be in this world, to be in mental health, to be talking about my hardest feelings, my deepest feelings, my vulnerability. But a tragedy happened to my family in 2018. I lost my big sister Ella to suicide, and it just threw a whole world upside down. I wasn't a part of this world of mental health. I didn't, like you said, I was taught how to push my feelings down, rub dirt on it. As men, we don't cry. As men, we don't share our feelings. That's a weakness. So I was so confused being in this world of mental health and learning all these things that I didn't know before, about honoring my feelings and how important it is for me to take the time to cry, to find those safe places to talk about my anxiety or my depression and how much courage it takes to get help and to go to therapy and to really be brave enough to open up those doors and that vulnerability with someone who's professional. They can help me understand why I'm feeling the certain ways I'm feeling. Because when I push those feelings down, when I suppress them, when I didn't acknowledge them and give them the honor that they deserved, they would just fester inside of me. And it took me to a dark place, a place I was stuck in suicide ideation. And I would just ruminate on the thought of suicide. But through therapy, I learned, how to process my emotions. Why am I angry? Where is that coming from? Where is my anger? Where is my depression? Where is my anxiety? Where is that stored in me? Is it trauma from my childhood? Is it from tragedy of death? Is it from just the way that I've been raised as a man? So just really figuring out where is that coming from, how to cope with it, how to honor it, and how to move on and understand every day is a new day and that it's okay not to be okay. I don't always have to be happy. I don't always have to be smiling. I can have a sad day, I can cry, but I can still call it a good day because I honored my feelings and was true to myself. I think that's so important out there. I feel like too many men feel like we have to just tough it up, push it down, and smile on our face. No, as men, we always talk about being strong. And I really feel like being strong is being vulnerable because that is a true meaning of strength because you're telling someone how you're truly feeling and not just being surface level and being like, oh, I'm good. No, man, like, hey, I'm having a hard day. I'm a little anxious today, and we just need to make that conversation more normal because that is what we're going through. That's more normal in our world. Men are going through these feelings or experiencing these things, and we're just all going through the human experience together. So why not be vulnerable, share these feelings so people don't feel alone and more people feel like it's acceptable to not be okay so they can stay here forever.
When you were going through some of that suicidal thoughts, that process, and you got some help from what I would consider, because there's a lot of athletes, some that I've spoken to, who wouldn't be as vulnerable in front of the general manager. Yet
Mhm.
John Lynch, 49ers GM, reached out to you and said, "Hey, if you need help, it's there for you." What was that conversation like, and how much did that help you? Because I feel like coaches, GMs, owners, others in position of authority need to impress that upon the players. Some of these guys who are fighting for a roster spot aren't going to be able to stand up there and say that on their own.
Yeah, no, I mean that conversation with John was a turning point for me. Like my mom had been pushing me to get help to go to therapy, and I would just kind of brush it off. But that moment in the cafeteria with John that morning, he just came up to me. I was grabbing my food. He stopped me. He said, "Hey, Solly, like, like we're here for you. If you need help, we got it. Like whatever you need, we're there." And for me, it just lifted that weight off my shoulders. It was like, I don't have to pretend like I'm okay. Like my sister just died. I'm not supposed to be super happy or act like everything's together right now because I truly am just trying to figure out how to live on my own mentally right now. So that conversation with John was monumental in my process of helping myself mentally, of getting the help that I need to cope through the loss of my sister. But yeah, there's way too many men out there who feel that they can't do that because of their position they're in. And that's why I feel like we need to really approach the higher ups in the NFL and sports in just the business world as well. Like we need to approach the older GMs, the older presidents, the older executives who have this old mindset of like, oh, he's anxious, or oh, he's sad. Like he's soft or whatever. That these are the people we need to approach because they're the ones making these decisions. But if they preach to someone, hey, if you're having a sad day, that's okay. But the only way that sad day is going to affect your work is if you don't honor those feelings. If you tell someone to just tough it up, push through it, those sad feelings are going to affect their work. But if you tell them like, hey, we have help for you. Hey, there's these techniques you can do for free on your own. Hey, there's a meditation app. Hey, here's a journal to look at your thoughts. These are the ways that you can be able to go through your everyday, whether you're sad, depressed, angry, feel anxious, and still be able to perform your work. And so that's why I feel like, really approaching the people who have lived in that old archaic mindset really can help other players, other people in the workforce be able to help themselves more with mental health.
I feel like the stigma's been broken because more and more guys, more and more people are talking about it. Yet there's still sort of a thought process. Like, for example, I went through a lot from a mental health standpoint. I never had suicidal thoughts. That was never
Mhm.
something that was part of my process. And there are some folks out there who think, well, then it wasn't serious enough to warrant help, right? But
Mhm.
but what that led me to was a place of where we turn to cope in different ways. And some people may cope with alcohol, some may cope with drugs. So it can lead, if not addressed, to other things. To whereas even though if you haven't entered that thought of suicidal ideation, it's impacting your life in addiction. It's impacting your relationships. It's
Mhm.
impacting. So, what would you say to someone who maybe hasn't gotten to, okay, I'm at that point where I feel like I need the help because I'm thinking of taking my own life,
Mhm.
but they're turning to other forms to cope. What would you say to them to encourage them to maybe seek out that help?
Yeah, no, that's a really important and amazing point. Like, I always tell people therapy is, or getting help, whatever it's therapy, art therapy, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is, it's preventative work. Like, it's the same thing as an athlete. Like, I don't wait to do ankle prep once I sprain my ankle. I'm doing ankle prep every day to make sure that, hey, my ankles are ready for practice. It's the same thing with your brain and your emotions. You want to do the preventative work to make sure, hey, because in life some adversity is going to happen, especially emotionally, socially, in our society. So you want to be able to like have that baseline with a therapist, have that baseline with your own mental health routine. So when something happens, you have something to go to. And I always tell people like therapist is like having a coach, like especially with athletes. I'm like, you have your a trainer on your own, you have a defensive line coach on your own. Like a therapist is a life coach, someone who has gone to school, who has professionally learned how to teach you how to handle, think, and process your emotions, tragedy, adversities, ups and downs, relationships, family issues. So I always like to tell people it's preventative work. These people are life coaches. There's no reason to look at it as anything other than that. So I think that's a really important conversation to have. So people don't just get help when it's the last second or when it's all dark. You can get help when you're doing good. You can go to therapy when you're happy because it's all preventative work and it's all work that you can do to help build a baseline so you're strong in these moments.
That's an excellent way to look at it. Now, last year, as part of the Cowboys, you had to go through an unfortunate situation with a teammate with Marshawn Nealon. How difficult was that for you personally, knowing what your background is and your
Mhm.
history with your sister with Ellen?
Yeah, no, first of all, rest in peace, Marshawn, and always sending love to Catalina and his family. I can't imagine the pain they're going through with their loss, especially with how life just goes on, the NFL just goes on. Just think about them every day. Um, but it was a very hard time. It was a hard time for the team, because we're playing football and we're in the midst of like the most important time of our lives, but then you get hit by this tragedy and it's like like it just kind of reminds you of like how precious and how fragile life is and how important the little things are and how important family is, telling people that you love them. It was just a really and for me it was just really triggering as well. Like it was hard because I've gone through a pain like this before. Obviously it was my sister, so it was a little different, but I have felt that feeling before. So a lot of my sadness was feeling that feeling for Catalina, feeling that feeling for Marshawn's family, and his closest friends on the team. Because it's just such a just knowing that the survivors go they feel, knowing the questions are going to go through, knowing the confusion, the anger, the random moments 2 years from now they're just going to be like, just so mad that Marshawn's not there, or so mad that their person's not there. So it's just that part of it was very triggering. But I felt very blessed to be the Cowboys at that time because my teammates leaned on me, the team leaned on me. Because I've been in this field and I feel like I was able to help others through that time. And I always say one of my proudest times in the league has been the week we came in after Marshawn passed away, and it was a D-line room, and we had Dr. T, our team clinician, we had Coach Shoddy, Coach White Cotton, and we had about 14 defensive linemen, some of the biggest, baddest men that you can think of. And all 14 of them, it was like a 2-hour therapy session. All 14 of them just sat there, we cried, we talked about our feelings, our raw, vulnerable emotions, stuff that you wouldn't know guys are going through or feeling from Marshawn's death. And I feel like that was a point in our season where whether we won the Super Bowl or not, it didn't matter. Like in that moment, that team, that room, we won because we allowed those men to be vulnerable and understand that hey, whatever we're going through right now, it's okay to be feeling it.
Tell me about the work that you're doing with your nonprofit, with the defensive line, and I know your parents are involved in that, and it's something that you guys, I think it launched in 2021, so you're 5 years into it now, and just some of the resources that you're able to provide.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, in wake of Ella's death, we were throwing the word of mental health, and we didn't realize how big of a problem it was in our world. And then Ella dies. Now it's like we couldn't meet a person who hadn't had someone who in their family, someone they knew who died by suicide, or them personally going through a time of depression, suicide ideation, and we were like. Holy crap! Like it affects everyone. So many people are affected by this, and it was at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Out of Darkness overnight walk, and there was thousands of people there. And it was the first time we didn't feel alone in our pain from losing Ella because we were around so many people who had been through something similar. Um, and that was like where the light went off. We're like, we have to do something. We have to do something for Ella. This is what she would want to do. And so we started the defensive line, where our mission is to end the epidemic of youth suicide, especially for young people of color, by transforming the way we connect and communicate over mental health. And the way we do this is by we go into schools, colleges, businesses, coaching rooms, and we attack the mentors. We try to teach them how to conduct an environment, a classroom, an office, a locker room, to be a healthy mental health environment. We give them the warning signs. We give them the statistics that they might have overlooked or not known. We give them the language of how to talk about it, how to bring up the conversation. We connect them with their local resources so they know that hey, it's not on them to save the person. That there's people in their community in their area who can help them and who are professionals to help them. And I think one of the most important things we do is we have a crisis action plan that we make every single mentor write out before they leave. So they understand that no situation is too big or too scary. And so they know how to handle whatever comes their way. Because we believe right now that our younger generations are more in tune with their mental health. And it's the older generations who are in those positions who have been raised in that mentality of, hey, push through it. Hey, mental health is just a feeling. So we want to do a top-down approach so they create these environments where the role models, the leaders, the mentors are running a healthier mental health environment. But like you said, it's our 5th year anniversary coming up in June. And it's been really, really hard work, but also really, really good work. And it helps us keep Ella's name alive, and that's been the most beautiful thing is to see her name, her story, her work, keep people here. If we can save one person a day, if you can save one family from going through what my family feels from losing Ella, if you can save one person from feeling the pain that Ella felt from dying by suicide, our work is worth it.
One question that I feel like someone like you is so adequately, I mean, you're perfect to answer this, is you talked about this a little bit earlier, the guilt of the survivors, right?
Hmm.
How important is that for those who are left behind to also now seek some help because there's going to be that guilt and there's nothing they can do at this point
Hmm.
and it's not their fault, but those are some people who I feel like they need more than just to be hugged and loved on. They need
Yeah.
real therapy.
Yeah, and it's a really really great question because it's been the hardest thing for me. I think it's the hardest thing for anyone who has a loved one die by suicide is that guilt, because we always want to know why. And with suicide, you never know why. You can have all these reasons. You can backtrack as much as we have, and the question and the answer to why is never going to be there. And you may beat yourself up for it. You may learn, like, when I first got into mental health, I would learn all these things about mental health, and I'll beat myself up like, why didn't I know this? I could have saved Ella. And you just have this guilt, and that's why it's so important to go to therapy to learn that, hey, like, this was not because of you. No matter how much you learn, no matter how much you did, you might have not still, it might have been the same result. And so it's just important to go to a professional who's been through this before, so they can teach you through emotions, they can coach you through the emotions, so you can live a life for your loved one, because your loved one wouldn't want you to spend their time sitting here beating yourself up, blaming it on yourself, having all this guilt. They want you to live a full life for them. So I think, it's so important for those who are affected by suicide to get that help, whether it's, and I understand therapy is a luxury and not everyone is able to do it. So if you don't have therapy, connect with someone who's gone through it before, so you guys can talk about it together. You can talk about the guilt and understand that, hey, your feelings are valid about it, but it is not your fault, and that you need to live your life fully for that person. And that's a true way to honor them.
It's important you mention that because for, like you said, it is a luxury for some people, whether it's circumstances of health insurance or whatever, and they may not have those options
Mhm.
available to them. And I would never tell somebody, always, please go seek professional help. Prayer helped me. For me,
Mhm.
faith is a big component of my process of for me, it's physical, mental, spiritual, all of it ties in together. Sally, for you, is that part of it at all? Faith?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first 2 years after Ella passed away, for about 2 years, I probably didn't talk to God. I probably didn't even look at my faith. I was so mad at him. I couldn't see straight. I couldn't forgive him. I couldn't forgive myself. And there's a component of faith in it to me. My family, we grew up, going to church. My grandpa was a minister, and it is a big part to me. But like, I feel like, like, in faith, we talk about it like, you always also have to do the work. And I feel like believing and having that background is so important, and to help so many people have that kind of, that base of security, that base of why they're here, a base of a creator. But our creator also wants us to do the work. And that's why he has people here who do the full work of going to school, going to graduate school, becoming professionals, having 20 clients at a time, and still barely getting by. Like, that's the other work we have to do, is with those people, or with people who are around those people. So faith is a big part of it to me, but I truly feel like, without work, there is no faith. And so you have to put the work in as well.
That's a great point. With everything, you got to put in the work. You could be the most talented player, physically gifted, but if you're not going out there and you're putting in that work, it's not going to translate on the field, right?
I truly believe that the thing that I learned the most in this is, there are so many misconceptions about mental health, and we have come such a far way, but there's so much more we need to go. Yes, we're talking about it more, but the statistics are showing that we're still losing people at a higher rate. They're not getting better, as even though we're talking about it more, they're not getting better at the rate as how much we're talking about it. We still have men at a very public stage who go on and talk about, hey, mental health is BS. We have CEOs who do that, like, on TV, and it is disgusting, because we are losing people every day to this. We're losing children under the age of 13 to this. And the misconceptions are that, mental health is just a feeling. No, it's just like anything else, just like cancer, just like diabetes. Like, it is a scientific illness where your chemistry in your brain is not functioning properly. Whether you're not blocking enough cortisol, or you're not getting enough serotonin, there is a makeup in your brain that is not correct. That's why bipolar disorder, that's why all these things are mental health illnesses, because your brain is not functioning correctly. And that's why people have to be on medicine. So we have to respect mental health as such, the seriousness of the illness that it is. And so I always like to say that, because I feel like, and I get so angry when I see people talk about it like that, because it's not BS. You wouldn't go to someone with diabetes or cancer and say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that's BS." No, there is a reason why people are feeling the way they're feeling, and they're not crazy. They just are alone, and that's why we need to continue to have the conversation. We continue to keep lobbying in DC for more funding for mental health for all areas, for minorities, for colleges, for people in the work, for pregnant women. It's just so important. So I just need to I want to keep preaching that because I saw the other week an interview that really upset me, but yeah.
Well, it's yeah, I hear that. I see that sometimes, and you wonder where that's coming from. What heart that person is behind that. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate, but with everything that you've gone through, everything that you're doing, I think it's a blessing to people out there, and that's what I appreciate it. Is there any way, anything that for your nonprofit, the defensive line folks want to help out, want to reach out, want to connect, anything that they can do, check out?
Yeah, I would say just check out our website, thedefensiveline.org. We have our gala coming up June 5th. We still have some sponsorship slots available. If you just follow us, if you just keep reading the good work you're doing, you're supporting. We will always take donations. We'll always appreciate that, but just the support of seeing the work we're doing, seeing how my family's putting everything we can into this. That support and that helps keeps my sister name alive. So anything is appreciated.
That's awesome, man. Where is that, by the way? Where is it being
It,
held?
it's it's going to be in Dallas. Yeah, it's going
Okay.
to be in Dallas on June 5th. Yes, sir.
You do it annually? You do something?
This is our second one.
Okay.
The We've done two before this, but they weren't really as this is like they were more like kind of partnered with another foundation. This is going to be mainly like us. This is going to be ours, and it's going to be our 5-year celebration as well. So it's going to be a cool event. So I'm excited.
That's awesome, man. Well, I wish you a ton of success with that.
I appreciate you, Rob. Thank you so much for this.
That's it for this week. Thank you to Solomon Thomas. Thank you for watching and listening to Faith on a Field show. And please remember, if you need help, if you need somebody to reach out to, there's always some help available. Check out one of the numbers, the hotlines. If you want to do what I do, I always just get on my knees and pray to the Lord. But there are so many professionals out there who can help you. You are not alone. Until next week, I'm Rob Maaddi, reminding you, make a difference. Be a blessing.